Hello, everyone. My name is Alex Daskal, and I'm one of the admissions counselors here. We're just going to take a couple minutes just to allow more time for people to join the webinar here. But we will probably start it here within a couple minutes. All right, well, I guess we can get this started. I guess some people more will join later on. But yeah. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight for the regional info session for Nova Scotia. My name is Alex Daskalu, and I am one of the admissions here at St. Thomas University. I actually graduated from St. Thomas University in 2020 with a double major in journalism and communications. Then I worked for a startup company for about 2 years, and then decided I wanted a different path of my career. And then opportunity came back at St. Thomas University, and here I am. I guess tonight I am here with you guys. Speaking about St. Thomas University. So how to get involved in today's session. Your camera and microphone will remain off for the duration of the session, and you will have your questions answered in our Q&A box. And of course, if you're still looking for additional information, stay tuned for ways to stay connected at the end of the event. So I guess we'll get this started. So St. Thomas University is located in the beautiful capital city of Fredericton, New Brunswick. Fredericton is a small town, charm, but a big city spirit. It does have all types of different events that happen throughout the year, like the Harvest Music Festival. We have the Beaverbrook Art Gallery. We do have the Fredericton Playhouse, Charlotte Street Art Gallery, and a couple different other things. We also have over 115 kilometers of city walking and biking trails. So if you're an enthusiast of just biking and walking, this city will be the one for you. And your St. Thomas University tuition includes a transit pass, which is really good because you can get from campus all the way downtown to even uptown to the mall and just pretty much anywhere around campus, anywhere around the city. And within Fredericton, you have all types of different opportunities, such as internships, work placements, alumni network, community service, and a whole different types of things. So St. Thomas University is Canada's only public university exclusively dedicated to the liberal arts. We study the liberal arts through our Bachelor of Arts program, which uniquely draws on the social sciences and humanities. So, you know, some of the transferable skills you will gain with a liberal arts degree from STU, you can truly do anything, as our alumni have gone on to successful careers in law, business, medicine, education, social work, and other fields. But St. Thomas University is known as the small university of big opportunities, definitely for many different reasons. One of the reasons is that we cap our classes at 60. So it's always going to be you and 59 other students in your first year class. The more you kind of go into your second, third, and fourth year, it's an average of 24. So it's really easy to connect with your professors. It's really easy to connect with your peers. And the St. Thomas community is very, very, uh, 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 what's the word I'm looking for? Is very supportive with each other. Speaking about, how supportive our professors are, 99% of our full-time professors actually hold the highest degree in their field. So they've gone through everything that you're going through. They've gone through high school, they did their undergrad, they went on and did their master's, PhD, actually worked in the field, and then came back to teach. And we actually have quite a few professors at St. Thomas University who actually graduated from the university itself. And 10% of our student body is actually made up of international students from 35 countries and more. And I myself, I guess, kind of an international student, but not really, because I am from Romania. However, I've been in Canada for a couple of years now, since 2010 or so. So, like I said before, we study the liberal arts through our Bachelor of Arts, which kind of focuses on the social sciences and humanities, which it's really easy to personalize your education by building a degree based on what you're interested in. And our social sciences programs are anthropology, criminology and criminal justice, economics, gerontology, international relations, and political science, psychology. So all the ones in gold. And our humanities are communications and public policy, digital media and creative arts, journalism, philosophy, religious studies, and more like that. But one cool thing is that whatever you're studying as to is pretty much like a big conversation. So you could be taking courses from criminology and human rights and learn about the same topic just from different perspectives and different other fields, which is really cool because you get to learn about a whole different type of things. We also have a Bachelor of Social Work, which really prepares graduates for a rewarding career in the field. So the way our Bachelor of Work works, we actually kind of changed a little bit. You have to do 2 years of a Bachelor of Arts, and then you can apply for the Bachelor of Social Work, which all can be done in 4 years. And we also do have a Master's of Social Work too at St. Thomas University. And definitely experiential learning is at the heart of what we do. If you're like me, I learn a lot by doing everything. Like I said before, I graduated with journalism and communications, and in my journalism classes, I actually got to do a lot. So the way it kind of works in your first year, the more you mostly kind of do a lot of like in class. They teach you how to do interviews. If somebody doesn't want to talk to you, how do you engage that and everything? And then in your upper years, you actually go out in the community, film events, make short video stories, podcasts. You actually do a live radio show. So it's really cool because you get to do a lot of like hands-on work. And 100% of our internships are either paid or you get credits towards your degree. So you get some sort of reward from doing all our internships. And of course, students are matched with organizations that reflect their academic and career interests. So if you're interested in criminology, you can definitely go to our experiential learning office and sit down with them and kind of tell them, hey, I want to be a law enforcement, or I want to work within the detective unit. Can you guys find me an internship that can help me get to that type of career? And of course, students benefit from earning valuable work experience, but also engage in meaningful network opportunities. I mean, definitely, if you do internships, sometimes a lot of students end up working at that organization just because they really did a good job while they did their internships, and their employers really liked them that way. We also have international exchange and travel studies. The way the international exchange, it is 1 to 2 semesters in either Australia, Brazil, Chile, Ecuador, England, France, and a couple different countries. And we do also have a travel study, which is about 2 to 4 weeks. And I know this upcoming year, they're actually having a travel study to Peru, which is really cool because you even get to travel the world while still completing your classes and your degree, and you get credit for it too. So student life on campus. Student life on campus will definitely be very important, especially for students that will be living in residence. So living in residence will be your home away from home. We have 3 residences: Harrington Hall, Vanier Hall, and Holy Cross House. Harrington Hall and Vanier Hall have actually been recently renovated, and they are co-ed, while Holy Cross House is a females only residence. We also have all types of support that you can really count on while attending St. Thomas University. We have academic support like the Writing Center, which is actually run by a St. Thomas University grad and has upper year students who actually work with you. We also have peer tutoring, academic advising, student success coaching, and even more. And we also have all types of personal support. We do have like our on-campus student health center and pharmacy, the SLGBTQIA plus advisor, international student coordinator, and I would say my favorite out of all of them is definitely dog therapy events. I mean, who doesn't really love petting dogs and everything, right? And like I've said before too, we have a really supportive community. It's actually kind of funny looking at this photo. I know all the 3 international students there. I'm really pretty good friends with them. So it's like you will get to know everybody on campus. And we do have like all types of clubs, such like the Student Union, the Aquinian, Theater St. Thomas, Gerontology Society. And even if there's a club that we don't have a St. Thomas, you can always create your own club. It's very easy to do, and it's all through like the student union and everything. And we do have all types of athletics, sports that we do at St. Thomas. So how to become a St. Thomas University student? Well, first, I guess, is get to know St. Thomas. Definitely attending this webinar is a start. You can also meet with any admissions counselor, including myself or any of my other colleagues, and book a tour. Secondly, apply. Our application process is already open now, so you can always just apply at stu.ca/apply now or stu.ca apply 2023. If you do need any help with applications or anything that way, you can always reach out to me. My email is also alex@stu.ca. And step number 3, of course, is if you get accepted, you can go ahead and apply for scholarships and bursaries. You can do, and the deadline for that is March 1st, 2023. And step number 4 is definitely apply for residence. You can submit your residence application before the April 15th for guaranteed housing. Anything after April 15th can be kind of like, if we have the space, it will happen. And step number 5 would be confirm your enrollment. You just have to submit your $100 admission deposit by May 15th, which is the soft deadline. And step number 6 is definitely choose your courses. Courses registration for first-year students usually happen around April, but the thing is that at St. Thomas, there are no required courses for first-year students. So you can just pretty much take courses from anything, like either criminology, psychology, human rights, journalism, just all of our programs, you can take that. So a couple steps for how to apply for scholarships and bursaries. Of course, like I said before, once you get accepted, you just go onto the applicant portal under the next step section, and you can fill up the application there. Of course, step number 2 would be kind of get the information. So you can attend the scholarship information webinar, or even attend the winter open house scholarships workshop, or just meet with admissions counselors like myself and my other colleagues. There are a couple required documents that you do need for scholarships and bursaries. So you would need a personal statement letter, a resume, a letter of reference, a bursary letter, and your updated academic transcript. And the deadline for scholarships and bursaries is March 1st, 2023. And I would say the next step would be definitely scheduling your virtual or in-person campus tour. This is very important because I would really recommend scheduling an in-person campus tour, because this is where you really get a feel of the campus, get the feel this is where you belong. So a couple deadlines that we do have, or events that we do have coming up. On November 19th, we have our virtual fall open house. March 1st is the deadline to apply for scholarships. March 25th is our in-person spring open house. April 15th is the deadline to apply for residence, and April 2023 is the first year registration opens. And you can, like I said before, apply today. You can apply as stu.ca/apply 2023. And if you have any questions about the application process or anything that way, you can definitely email the admissions at stu.ca or email myself, alex@stu.ca. Perfect. So now we can actually move on to our next step, which is our Q&A part of the tonight's webinar.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alex. Hello, folks. You've probably seen me a couple of times if you've attended any previous virtual events or even in-person events offered by us at STU here. So my name is Mike. I'm the digital admissions counselor, obviously in a digital setting right now for STU. If I've met you on the road, if I've met you on campus, it's great to have you here again. Thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, as you can already see, there's probably been some questions that have come in, and we'll be sure to get to your questions. For context, there's no such thing as a bad question. These events, university could be a familiar or entirely unfamiliar thing for folks coming into these kinds of things. So by all means, there's no such thing as a bad question. That being said, before we do get started here, I do want to allow for our current student representing Nova Scotia very proudly. We did have another tour ambassador that we were going to have join on, but unfortunately, there's a bit of a cold and flu bug getting around every now and then, so not a surprise there, but we're happy to march forward with this. So if it's not too much trouble, Emily, you're welcome to introduce yourself. You're welcome to speak to briefly any programs that you're involved in. I know that you're definitely dabbling in a couple of different subject areas, and then anything you're involved with in free time, just so that our students have kind of a good sense of what they can ask you to.
Sure. My name is Emily. I'm currently in my second year here at STU. I am double majoring in fine arts and women and gender studies, and I'm double minoring in human rights and English. I'm originally from Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. So if anyone on here is from the Cole Harbour Dartmouth area, hello to you. On campus, I'm involved in a couple of different things. I'm currently co-president of the Mental Health Society. I'm on the executive board for Black Box Productions, which is our on-campus theater society as well. Right now, I actually just came from a rehearsal for the STU musical theater program show. We were putting up a musical in February, so I just came from rehearsal for that as well. And I've also volunteered with other kind of groups on campus, the University Women's Center, the 203 Center, and I just did an internship through the Experiential Learning Office this summer, so I can also speak to that.
Okay, wonderful. So in short, folks, it's going to take a lot to stump Emily. I don't necessarily mean to challenge you in that sense, but as you can tell, like plenty of STU students, we have a lot of leaders on campus, and Emily's certainly one of those. So with that, I can kind of give you a sense of how this process is going to work for the next little while. So what's going to happen is typically Alex and I will be asking the questions. They might be directed to one of ourselves. We might just be answering them directly. We might allow for the entire panel to kind of get a crack at answering a question if everybody kind of has their own experience to speak to a little bit. Or if there's something that is better off for Emily or for Alex or for myself, we'll just probably address each other directly on that. But that being said, we do have a number of questions that have come in so far. So we'll start with a question here actually for Alex. So Alex, we have a student that probably caught wind of your academic background when you were introducing yourself, and they're wondering, what kind of classes did you enjoy taking in communications and journalism? You can probably dabble in a little bit of both just because they're both separate but complementary areas. They're not really sure what kind of area of media they want to explore, but I think they're going to look for your insight on this. So yeah, what kind of classes did you kind of enjoy from your time in communications journalism?
So I could talk about this like all night, like especially journalism. Like some of the courses I did take, I definitely took radio and podcasting. And the cool thing about the like radio and podcasting, you actually get to do like short stories, which are like around 5 minutes or so, where like what I did is one of my friends has like a 69 Dodge Charger that him and his dad actually ended up building it for the past like 20 years of his life. And when he finally turned 20 and everything, they finally finished it, which I know it kind of sounds crazy. It takes 20 years to build a car, but anyway. So I really got to do a lot of like close-up shots, the interviews, were able to get like certain clips and everything that way. I also took like a couple classes like documentary where I went to a farm and just videoed animals kind of walking around, pretty much what a day in the life of a farmer would be that way. As for communications, definitely I took a social media class where it really helped me even to this day, just because I am able to, work my social media, like take the photos I want, make any captions the way I want to. And another cool thing about the communications department this year, Jamie Gillies, who's the head of the communications and journalism department, he's actually teaching a class on Taylor Swift. So that's pretty cool. I would love to be in that class right now. But I mean, yeah, definitely. If you have any like more specific questions or anything, you can definitely like reach out to me and we can definitely chat more about that too.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex. If anything, actually, it's probably your turn to allocate a question here. So by all means, I'll pass it back.
Yeah, for sure. So we have somebody that asked, are there any on-campus jobs for students? Emily, I know you did some experiential learning too. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, absolutely. There's tons of different on-campus jobs available for students. You can work in things like a lot of criminology and criminal justice students will work in things like campus patrol, doing like security at events and parking passes and crowd control and things like that, especially students who are looking into potentially like policing or RCMP or things like that. There's job opportunities in the athletics department, running social media stuff, working at the front desk. A lot of student athletes take advantage of those. There's jobs at the IT desks, things in the admissions office, lots of stuff like that. Basically, any interest that you have, there's opportunities on campus. Some students also get to work as research assistants with professors and things. And then there's also the opportunity where you can look for internships and things. Kind of that is sort of off campus, but you can look for those through the resources that we have on campus in the experiential learning office as well. So tons of different ways if you're looking to work during your degree. I've had a really great time working on campus because it's really been convenient for me. I am a commuter. I don't really have a car. So getting to work on campus, like I can come to class and then go to work and then go home. I don't have to like do a bunch of buses and things to get other places as well. So it's been really great and really convenient for me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Emily. I mean, technically speaking, folks, Emily is kind of on the job right now, actually. So if this is something you could see yourself doing in a couple of years' time, I promise the admissions office is probably one of the greater places to work on campus. I know everybody's probably got their biases, but honestly, it's a great time. And we definitely love having our students take part in events like this too.
It's the best job.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Let's see. We have another question here that honestly, I think we could all probably take a crack at. Somebody's saying that they're from a small town and they're kind of just looking for any thoughts or advice on moving to a larger place like Fredericton, which makes total sense, especially if it's your first time away from home even. So let me see. I'll probably take a second to provide some insight, some tips on this. And then Alex, if you want to pitch in a couple of thoughts and ideas, knowing that you kind of came from a smaller town too, and Fredericton wasn't too far, but it was still far enough that it felt like a bit of a change for you. And then Emily, I know Cole Harbour certainly has its proximity to the HRM, but it's still a town in its own right. So I can go and then Alex can go and then Emily can go on this. But I would say that one thing that's really good to keep in mind about Fredericton Alex kind of dabbled on this a little bit. It really does feel like a town in a lot of ways, but it does have a lot of the amenities that you would find in a city, right? So you definitely have access to shopping centers and malls and a pretty good variety of restaurants. And there's a lot of hustle and bustle, and there's a plenty large number of students and young people in the city of Fredericton. So it provides a lot of that, but just rest assured, you'll probably have a lot more feeling of community than you would think when you arrive to Fredericton. That's one thing that a lot of our students notice, even if they're from a town of a few hundred people. Honestly, Fredericton has a lot of tight knit and closeness to it among the population, among the community here. So there's little things like, even if you go to the farmer's market, you might bump into somebody from your class. It's completely okay tip wise to say hello to somebody you recognize from Stu. There's a good chance that they're going to say hi to you. You might even strike up a conversation. So just kind of be open to the experience, be open to meeting new people, but just know that the new friends, the new experiences, they're going to come to you, especially in Fredericton, where it's kind of a hotbed for getting to meet new people and still having that backbone of a bit of a stronger community, if that makes sense. But I don't want to go too far into anybody else's potential answers. So yeah, Alex, I'll go to you for some kind of advice for moving to a larger location like Fredericton.
Yeah, definitely. So when I first moved to Fredericton, I was definitely very overwhelmed. Just because, I mean, it was definitely a bigger city. Like, I came from Woodstock, New Brunswick, which is very small. You got a couple of Tim Hortons and a DQ and then the high school. So that's all you got. And then you move to Fredericton, where you have so many more things. But one thing I really like when I moved to Fredericton is definitely the types of opportunities you have, and even like people. You will know that, like, Fredericton itself, it is a pretty international city. So I've actually made friends from pretty much all over the world. I mean, I know friends from, Ecuador, Nicaragua, Mauritius, Germany, even like Europe, just everywhere. So I would really say that, definitely moving to a big city can be tough at first, but then the more you kind of get to know the city, you kind of go out to get to explore it, it'll definitely become like home to you, like it has for me. Yeah. Emily, do you want to take a crack at it?
Cole Harbour is pretty close to the HRM, so we do get some of those benefits, but I did go to a really small high school. My high school graduating class was about 58 people. So Stu is definitely still a transition for me, and living in Fredericton still felt like a transition for me, going into something a little bit bigger than what I'm used to on the day-to-day. But for me, Stu and Fredericton were just like the perfect size, because it feels like we were working on something yesterday and they're like, describe Fredericton in 3 words. And I described it as small but big was my 3-word thing. Because you get, especially with Stu being a smaller campus, you get the kind of benefits and the feeling of that like homey kind of university town feel, especially where lots of people and all the things, and there's lots of like places to walk, but you also get the benefits of living in a capital city and having all of those things to do as well.
Awesome. Sorry, I was muted. I guess we will go to our next question now. We have somebody that asked that they missed the fall open house, but can they still attend the spring open house? Definitely. That is not the only thing you can only attend. We do have like a virtual fall open house, which is happening on November 19th. And you can register right online at stu.ca. And you can always take a campus tour. Our campus tours are happening Monday to Saturday. We do have some Saturday ones, but those are usually booked pretty quick just because everybody's trying to get in on Saturdays. Yeah. But you can definitely still attend the spring open house in person too. Yeah.
Perfect. I can probably go from here, Alex. I also had a bit of a weird mute moment too, but even a couple of years into a pandemic, people still have a tough time with Zoom, but we're making do. Actually, I'll start with Emily on this one, and then I'll probably bounce it back to you as well, Alex, just for some intake on this. So we have somebody asking, how exactly does a double major work? If you've ever heard or spoken with anybody from Stu before, there's probably a good chance they brought up their double major. So if you want to talk about the ins and outs of how your double major works, what you're enjoying about that kind of ability, you're even doing a double minor. So if you want to explain that process a little bit too, by all means. They're also wondering if it costs extra or takes extra time. I can say that up front. No, it doesn't. it just fits in your schedule like that. That's one of the many great things about students having that kind of variety of opportunities to explore here on campus. So Emily, if you kind of want to speak to how your double major is kind of working in progress right now, that'd be great. And then even then, Alex, before you ask the next question, if you don't mind talking about your double major experience a little bit too, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Basically the difference between a major and a minor is just how many credits you're taking in that subject. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but that's something an admissions counselor would be able to tell you. So my double major is in fine arts and women and gender studies, and then my double minor is in human rights and English. Basically you can kind of figure out a way to major or double major or double minor or any combination of those. You don't have to take extra classes to do that. Some people will choose to do that. You don't have to like take classes in the summer or anything like that. A lot of courses in the liberal arts, specifically at STU, also cross list. So you take one class, but it counts with credits towards 2 subjects. So a lot of my fine arts classes will cross list with my English classes, and a lot of my women and gender studies classes cross list with human rights classes as well. So sometimes you get really lucky. I have a friend that once accidentally minored in 2 subjects she didn't intend to minor in because of the cross listed classes that she took as well. And that kind of goes back to what Mike was saying earlier, that a lot of things that come up in some classes come up again. You also get credits like that as well. And I've been having a great time like double majoring and double minoring. I came to STU knowing I wanted to study fine arts, but also knowing that I had other interests that I hadn't gotten to explore in high school that I knew I wanted to take. So getting to take all of those classes in first year really solidified the like, I want to spend more time looking at all of these subjects. And I've been able to find a way with the classes that I'm taking and the projects that I'm doing to really have everything interconnect. And it's like really become like one big circle, like all of my disciplines kind of, it's like a nexus that push and pull on each other.
Yeah, so Emily pretty much said the same thing. I kind of the same ideas that I have. I also accidentally double majored. I was not planning in doing a double major at all. I pretty much like when I came to STU, I wanted to do history. That didn't last very long for me just because I realized I wasn't interested in that. But then I took a random like communications course and I was like, cool, I really like it. And I kept like taking communications courses. And then I met with my professors one day and he was like, you should do a double major in journalism and communications. And I was like, okay, but I don't know, journalism, I'm not really much of a writer or talker or anything that way. But he was like, a lot of courses do cross list. So I was able to really do a double major very easily. I almost did a minor in human rights also, but I ended up just deciding not to last minute. I don't know why. I only needed like 2 more courses and I was ready to go, but then I was like, no, thank you. But yes, it is very easy to do a double major, double minor. A lot of students also do like double majors and a minor. It's very easy to do it that way too. Our next question, this one's for Emily. This student is interested to know whether participants in the musical is a part of your coursework. You mentioned you are a double major, which one being fine arts, or if it's extracurricular.
So there's kind of 2 answers to this question. Yes, it can be part of your course load, and there are also ways to be involved in productions outside of your course load. So in the musical theater program at STU, you audition to be in the course. And then everyone who's in the course, kind of the first couple of months, sort of from September, the show is usually in February. That's what it is for us this year. You're kind of working on the show throughout that entire process. So that includes all of your class time you're usually spent rehearsing and some rehearsals outside of class time as well, like I just came from. But then there's also Black Box Productions, which is kind of like our on-campus theater society that's open to students who are also outside of the fine arts department. So if you're like a criminology major that really likes to perform on the side and you're looking for just a way to also be involved in theater, the Black Box Productions also does their whole own season of shows, and there's usually a musical within that lineup as well. So you can be involved with that. Or in the musical theater show, if you audition for the class and are accepted for that. We're doing Seussical the Musical this year, which is really exciting. So that'll go up in February. And some other shows we've done in recent years. We've done Cabaret, Sweeney Todd, Newsies, so lots of fun ways. So yes, it can be part of your course load, but you can also do it extracurricularly as well.
Well said. Yeah. If it provides any additional context, folks, to Fredericton, as kind of mentioned, having those benefits of being provincial capital that Emily was talking about earlier, there's a really good arts and culture community in Fredericton. I know for a city that's kind of on the smaller size for cities, still a few 100,000 people, there is a ton of ways to sink your teeth really into the arts and culture side of the city of Fredericton. There's plenty of things going on as is, but I don't think this is mentioned. No, we don't bring these up very often, but students at STU actually have free access to the Beaverbrook Gallery downtown. Alex, if you didn't mention it earlier, I apologize for not here. Plenty of benefits to Fredericton. You can't catch them all in one take, but it's really nice to be able to kind of go, and they just completed some renovations there. There's a cafe they built right in this kind of glass entryway. So if you're more on the visual arts side, there's definitely opportunities there. On the performing arts side too, downtown in Fredericton, there is the Playhouse, which, like many things downtown, are undergoing upcoming renovations. It's probably going to be a beautifully done whole remodeling of the theater performance space there. That being said, a lot of our fine arts instructors, if not all of them right now, are active or former professionals in whatever field that they're working in. So not to name drop here, but Professor Tanya Breen, who is a whiz with a lot of our students, as Emily is probably reacting positively to that. It really provides a lot of professional insight on getting you to whatever that professional level you're looking at is, whether it's going to be from a performative standpoint, from a visual art standpoint, to digital media or marketing or social media management on that front. Music, for that matter. Dr. Martine Krudnowski is a wonderful professor and is adored by our students here on campus. So whatever kind of professional experience you're looking to gain on campus, you might actually get some opportunities to work with that in the city of Fredericton too. That being said, Alex already mentioned Harvest too. So there's plenty of live music. If you ever have any kind of itch to catch some live music in Fredericton, it's a matter of minutes away, walking or taking the bus or driving yourself. It's really accessible. Speaking of media, actually, Alex, I have a question here that we're gonna swing around to you. So we have someone that's thinking of getting into some sort of media, digital media, which makes sense. There's plenty of opportunity for that right now in the job world. But they don't really have a lot of experience with cameras or production, or maybe some of those more professional aspects that you were talking about earlier. Are there courses that kind of help bridge the gap of getting introduced to the world of a lot of technical pieces that students might not necessarily be able to afford in their own house?
Oh, definitely. I mean, pretty much like your first year, like couple years of journalism classes, they really teach you how to use a camera, how to do audio, lighting, how to put clips together on either like Adobe Premiere Pro, Avid. There's all types of different courses that they teach you, and even throughout your whole 4 years, you're still gonna learn a lot. I mean, for the radio course that I took, I didn't have that course until third year. I knew nothing about radio. And even now I still think, okay, I know everything about radio, but there's so much more, even like a radio, camera, film, cameras, production, anything that way. So there's definitely courses, and our professors too, they have a lot of experience. I mean, they've done this for so long. For example, like Don Dixon, who is one of the journalism professors, which looks over the toolbox classes. He's done it for so many years that he knows how to help students, make like easy with cameras and everything that way. Yeah. Yeah, so I guess into our next question. Somebody's asking, what is your favorite thing about Fredericton or place? I guess all three of us can answer this. I guess I'll go first, and then if Mike wants to go, and Emily. I guess for myself, my favorite thing about Fredericton would probably be the Boys Farmers Market on Saturdays mornings. It's so nice because, especially for me right now where I'm traveling a lot, like this week I'm all around Nova Scotia, next week same, but I go back for the weekends. And pretty much almost every Saturday morning I end up going to the market. Especially during the summer is really nice. Winter can be cold, but I'm still gonna stay in that line for those mild chicken samosas. I don't care how cold it gets. I will be there with my coffee just to get my samosa. So yeah, I would say that would be my favorite thing about Fredericton. And definitely also the bike trails. I bike a lot. And I've actually done quite a few of the trails. I know some of the trails actually go from Fredericton to other neighboring towns like Oromocto, even Burton, just out in the middle of nowhere. But it's actually so pretty and calming. You just bike, listen to music, and mind your own kind of business. Yeah. Mike, do you want to tell us about your favorite thing about Fredericton?
I'll defer to Emily next, so that way if there's anything remaining, I could try and chime in at the end. So I'll pass it on to Emily next.
All right. I think one of my favorite things about Fredericton, I'm a big hiker. So all of the hiking and walking trails is definitely one of my favorites. And with the fall leaves, as they've kind of finished falling, it was really, really nice. I walk to school every day as well, pretty much. So that's always a really nice walk. It's a really nice way to like get outside. And I'm also a big restaurant person. There's a lot of really good restaurants in Fredericton. So if you ever come and take a campus tour and you're taking a campus tour with me, I will probably give you at least 3 restaurant recommendations during the time we are walking around campus. So that's also something that I like to do. So me and my friends will like go out for a walk and a hike and then go out to eat later. So those are some of my favorite things to do in Fredericton as well. And also the Playhouse, but going to see shows at the Playhouse as a fine arts person is always exciting.
I concur on that. The performing arts side of it is definitely one of the neat little charms that Fredericton has about it. You're covering a lot of bases for me here, so I'll try and squeeze in where I can, but it's also kind of outdoor, but I'll try and bring in some indoor quality to it too. Technically, neither of you covered it, but it is a part of the biking, walking trail. I can give context, folks, too, for people that haven't been to Fredericton before. You might be wondering, like, oh, what does this like trail network look like? It actually covers the entire city. There's maps. Typically, if you come on a campus tour, we might be able to just show you a map of what the trails actually look like. It's really, if you've ever been to, I don't know, like Quebec City, there's a lot of European cities that kind of have similar structures of just bike lanes that completely go off in their own direction. They're not just bike lanes built onto the side of the road. They are completely their own separate network of trails. A lot of them are paved. So if you are biking and you have a road bike or anything like that, if you're a jogger, a walker, whatever you need to do, it's super easy to just get right in the middle of the woods and get immersed. Pop in some headphones, listen to a podcast, a playlist, whatever you got going on. It's a really easy way to kind of clear your mind a little bit. But part of that network is actually called the Bill Thorpe Walking Bridge. It's kind of one of those picturesque things. If I was joining from my office tonight, I would probably be able to highlight at least 2 prints that I have in the background on my shelves of the walking bridge. It's an absolutely gorgeous way to kind of get a view of downtown. It's connected right along the waterfront on both sides. So there's green space on both sides of it too. So it's very wholesome in the fall and in the springtime. I find when people are right along the sides of the trails and they're having a picnic or they're watching people, I don't know, playing with their dog or watching the sunset from the north side of the river. It's super accessible on that front. That being said, I'll go more specific into the restaurant side of things. Again, you might be having your breakfast on a Saturday morning out of a food truck at the market. I can't imagine many people prior to arriving to Fredericton are used to having multiple options for samosas as a breakfast option. It's a total thing. You'll get used to it. But nonetheless, on top of that, for indoor dining, there's a ton of really good restaurants for, I'd say, breakfast and brunch in Fredericton, honestly. That's probably one of the things that Fredericton really has hit a sweet spot on. Let me think, the Coffee Mill would definitely be one. That being said, there's a bunch of great cafes downtown if you ever need to casually study. There are a couple of cute little diners that you can absolutely pop into to grab some breakfast. There is a Belgian waffles place not too far from campus too, that some really good waffles if you're into Belgian waffles. But I'm not going to talk about it much longer because I'm going to get hungry. We have other questions that we can definitely take on. So we have a question that I could partially answer a little bit. And then I might even bring it into Emily just to kind of give a sense of what the space kind of looks like from the eyes of a theater student. So we have a student saying if we were to book a tour, they can presume that we would work with them and make sure that they get to talk to faculty or any students in the desired program that they're thinking of. In this case, actually, they're bringing up fine arts, specifically musical theater. So you're right on the nose on that one. So absolutely, yeah. Honestly, transparency is the best way of getting that personalized tour, as personal as you need to. More often than not, if a student is asking far enough in advance, hey, let's say I'm coming on a Friday afternoon, I'd really be interested in meeting with a professor from this program or from a couple of these programs. Can I sit down and have a quick chat and a check-in with them? In certain cases, if you wanted to kind of sit in and be a fly on the wall and observe a class going on, then by all means, that's typically something too. That being said, it is kind of production season. So depending on when you wanted to come around, you might even be able to watch a production depending on what time of the next few months you plan on coming through town. But that being said, I'll also pass it along to Emily, who could very well be the person providing a tour for you. Do you mind speaking to the Black Box Theater a little bit, just because of its uniqueness? And I feel like someone that's actively using the space can probably do it justice better than I can.
Gladly. The Black Box, I always say it's one of my favorite, if not my favorite space on campus. I spend a lot of time in it, especially these days, but it's quite literally what it sounds like. It's a black box. So all of the walls and the floor is all black, which as a theater person is really exciting for when you're actually doing shows in it, because you can literally turn the space into anything. So like I said, we're doing Seussical right now, and we have these like staircases that we're like spinning and like doing scene transitions with. And we're talking about like lighting projection on the walls and all of these things. The Black Box, it's a really unique theater space as well, because you can change up the configuration of the seating. So last year for Cabaret, we actually had like cabaret like tables, and the audience was like a part of the set and they were part of the show. We've done full theater in the round before, theater like on three sides, just in the front. So it's a really unique space to perform in as well. There's not a lot of theater spaces like it. So getting to perform in it as a student and learn in that space and work in that space is really cool. I had class in there today for an acting for film and TV class that I'm currently taking. And then I had Seussical rehearsal after that. So yeah, Black Box is really cool. We also have other theater spaces on campus too that you might do performances in, but the Black Box is my personal favorite.
All right, I guess I will take the next question here. I guess our next question asks, is it hard to balance classes and extracurriculars at university? I'm going to stay involved, but I know classes can get tough. So I guess I can answer this a bit, even though I don't think anyone should take this from me, because in my final year, I took 6 courses. I had 1 internship, 1 independent study, and 2 jobs. So I took quite a bit. I don't know when I slept or anything. Coffee helped though, lots. I mean, to be fair, it is very easy to take extracurriculars during your university degree. It's the more you get involved, the better it'll even look onto your resume, and anybody like later on when you apply for jobs, everybody's gonna see what you've been doing. Definitely for me, I mean, I did a internship with Ferritin SPCA, so I ended up working with a lot of animals and kind of looking over their social media. And then I also did I worked for the school's newspaper, the Aquinian. I was their photo editor. So I got to do a lot of like photos of students, any events that were happening on campus, and everything that way. But I would say, no, it's pretty easy to do balance your classes and do extracurriculars at the same time. And of course, if you think that you don't have, time or patience to do that, we do have like an office where you can go and talk with them, and they can help you schedule out your like weeks and everything that way too.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're looking for someone in particular, it would be our student success coach on campus. Kath is a wonderful resource. Certainly keeps busy, even though a part of her job is helping people manage their own busyness, but it kind of works in its own way. But if you ever need to check into, honestly, going to an upper year student on campus is probably a great point of reference to kind of figure out how to navigate that back and forth between still wanting to be involved, still obviously staying on top of your classes, especially with university kind of being a jump in maybe rigor and a little bit of challenge on that front. That being said, the nice part about university is typically you're studying things that are of interest to you. There's not necessarily things that you need to check off on boxes to make sure that you're just getting through the pathway. You're studying what you get to enjoy. So that typically helps translate into more positive outcomes academically. It makes you more motivated to stay on top of things too. But definitely find that balance, even if it means lightening your load in your first year a little bit, and then seeing how much more you can take on. People don't just jump into things and have the resume that someone like Emily might have right now. You got to kind of figure out a balance and figure out what works for you and what times works for you to get things done. Speaking of Emily, actually, so we have two questions that came in different times, but I figured if you're going to unmute yourself, then it might have a couple of uses given that you're a double major. So we have someone asking what kind, excuse me, of topics are explored in classes within, women's studies and gender studies. And then we also have someone that said that they've heard an interesting thing about human rights, which you probably heard right. Are there any classes that you recommend? So topics and classes that you've looked at and kind of enjoyed from women's studies and gender studies, and then you can even translate that over to human rights as well.
Sure. I'll start talking about gender studies. Gender studies was such a surprise for me. I saw the course when I was in first year, like the intro to women and gender studies course. And I was like, this seems like something really interesting. And I started taking the class, and I'm not kidding, like 2 weeks into the class, I called my mom. I was like, this is the best class that I've ever taken. And I was like, in that moment, I decided that I was needed to major in that as well. So that intro to women and gender studies course, it's taught by Dr. Margaret Campbell. She's one of the best professors, best teachers that I've ever had. Any class taken with her, I have thoroughly enjoyed. But in those classes, you talk about different things like the relationship with like gender and sexuality in like different like parts of the world. And you talk about it in relation to like the media and education and different systems of power and just how these different things, how they influence things. You talk a lot about intersectionality, and my women and gender studies classes specifically have really, really helped broaden my perspective. And I've brought that into a lot of my other classes. It's really helped me in my human rights classes too, because it just gives you a different perspective on different political issues, on different social issues. So the intro course obviously is a great place to start. And it was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful class. There's a really great course on the sociology of men and masculinity, which is kind of, when you think about women and gender studies, you obviously think about women, but actually looking at the sociology of men and masculinity has been interesting as well. And next semester, this sort of ties into the human rights question that you were asking about courses you recommend for that. I'm taking a 2S LGBT human rights course, which talks about human rights specifically within the queer community. So I'm really looking forward to taking that. But any course in gender studies is super, super interesting. A lot of those courses cross list if you're interested in like psychology and sociology, criminology, human rights. A lot of gender studies really lends itself really naturally to that. So I recommend looking at that course, even if you're not specifically interested in gender studies. Moving over to human rights, again, the intro course is a great place to start. It's where I found my interest in human rights as well. And I also recommend the human rights theory course. It's a really great way. I took it second semester after taking the intro course first semester. And it really just helps build a really solid understanding of different perspectives on human rights, how our understanding has developed over time. And I also have I'm taking a lot of human rights courses next semester that I'm really excited for. That 2S LGBT human rights course. I'm also taking a course about human rights in the media and how social media and that has helped like shape and change our understanding of human rights and how the global scope has changed. So yeah, lots and lots. We could have a whole hour of me talking about courses I think people should take, but
Awesome. Yeah, so our next question, I think, Mike, you might be able to answer this one. How many resident spots are available compared to a student full-time assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. I know it's kind of along the timeline that Alex would have brought up recently, but that being said, it's a hefty timeline. There's a lot of different moving parts and pieces to kind of manage when it comes to getting started at the university level and kind of making that change of pace. So for resident spots, the general rule of thumb is really any time between acceptance, and I believe it might be, I want to say April 15th or May 15th. Don't hold me to it, but I want to lean towards maybe April. If you submit a residence application anytime between now and consider it the spring, if you need kind of just an easier timeline to think about, you will be offered a guaranteed space in residence. So there is a variety of rooms. There are double rooms, there are single rooms. There are single rooms with en-suites, like any college or university. The largest quantity of our rooms are predominantly doubles. That being said, the whole system is not necessarily like drawing a name out of a hat. There's actually a matching system where you can absolutely kind of explore options if you're looking at a roommate. But overall, I would say the sooner the better if you are looking to apply to live in residence. That being said, even just applying to residence, it'll guarantee you a spot. But that doesn't make your personal guarantee that you are committed to that residence space come this fall. If you found another residence that you wanted to live in, if you opted to live off campus, those are certainly options too. But if you want to just have your name on the record and know that that guaranteed living space is yours, I would say any time between now and the spring would be an optimal time to put your name in the residence application. That being said, if you've already been accepted, presumably you have been, in which case, congratulations, possibly. If you have been accepted, then in the online application portal, right in the next step section, so that would have been really in the same place that you would have initially submitted your application to STU. You can go in there and not only look at beginning a scholarship or a bursary application for early scholarships or bursaries, but you can also actually submit your application for residence. That being said, we're going to have a variety of upcoming virtual events over the course of this academic year. So we're actually going to have residence-based events where obviously STU is great and we can talk about many great things about St. Thomas, but there's actual events that are just offered with the intention of students looking to live in residence to attend. So it's really accessible, it's really attainable, and we're there to help you every step of the way. That being said, I realize we're also quite tight on time now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one more question. That being said, as we wind down too, if you didn't get a question answered, if we didn't get a chance to get to your question, this is not the first and definitely not the last time we're going to be in touch. If you do have any questions after this event has concluded and your question didn't get answered, we tried to squeeze as many as we could in. Feel free to email us at admissions@stu.ca. If you happen to be an international student in Nova Scotia or just an international student that found your way to this event, you can also email international@stu.ca. Alex's email is alex@stu.ca, I believe. I think I'm right. Yeah. In which case, his is a little easier than mine to remember. Mine is mmccracken@stu.ca. So if you're looking at my name on your screen right now, it's just my first initial and then my mouthful of a last name @stu.ca. So you can also email us at our personal STU emails as well. That being said, on the STU website, there is an online chat feature if you have questions that might be better answered by a current student or directly with an admissions counselor. We're very accessible that way. So you can certainly keep in touch. But that being said, let me see. I'm going to see what question we could pose for the last question. Oh, okay. This one might be a little more Nova Scotian based, and we will ask it to Emily. So we have someone that says they haven't really been away from home much. How many chances do you find that you get home to Nova Scotia, and how did that kind of evolve over your time of your degree so far?
For me, I usually say I get home about once a month. Usually there's either some kind of like a long weekend or like a reading week or a long Christmas break. And usually I get home during one of those times. You will definitely meet some more people from Nova Scotia once you get here. Maybe someone from your town, from a different high school, or just you just seem to find each other. Like there's something about Nova Scotia where no matter where you go, you just gravitate towards each other. So you'll probably also create some really good carpool groups. And you guys, if you want to go home for a weekend, you guys all plan it and you can all go together as well. But yeah, I usually say like about once a month, but also you'll find your people in Fredericton too. So if you're like, if homesickness is something and you've never really been away from home before, you will find your home and you'll find your people here as well. But yeah, about once a month. And then I usually I'll recruit some people with me and we'll take a little road trip home for the weekend and then we'll all drive back for school.
Well said. Yeah. I know the economy is not great right now and gas is not the cheapest commodity in the world anymore. So yeah, in light of that, carpooling is certainly an environmentally and economically friendly option. It happens with Nova Scotian students. It happens with students from Woodstock. It happens with students from Prince Edward Island, Quebec, even parts of New England and Maine and all of that. So yeah, definitely you'll get to meet people that just conveniently happen to be from your kind of home area, even if you've never known them before this time. But that being said, we have reached kind of the conclusion of tonight's session. So a couple of things that are worth keeping in mind as we wind down here. Certainly we have social media. So even if you're not a current student, you're totally welcome to check us out on social media. It's kind of a nice way of getting to know what's some of the current stuff going on campus. What are some of the events? Let's say if you're a student, possibly considering visiting for a campus tour, potentially looking at musical theater. That's probably an easy way to figure out, oh, when are shows going on? When are different things happening related to the arts community, different events that you can kind of tune into and attend. So you can definitely check us out on all of the major social medias. That being said, again, if you didn't get your question answered, we're terribly sorry. We definitely had a number of questions come in over the course of the hour, but we really do appreciate you making the time to join us this evening. I'll pass along my thanks to our wonderful MC and Alex. Well done. Even on the road, balancing a couple of things all at once can definitely get busy for you. And then Emily, who before this, folks, was right in the middle of rehearsal for the musical coming up. So as you can tell, there's plenty of things going on all at once among our STU community, among our students and our staff and our faculty. So we're welcome to have you join us at future events. If you ever want to come check us out on campus, let us know. But either way, feel free to keep in touch. I cannot stress that enough. But otherwise, we will be wrapping up here. And thank you so much again to everyone for joining us. And we hope you have a wonderful evening.